You always give me these weird faces when I want to start, and I don't know what to do with it. It's like there's never a Keith neutral. It's always just like the most agonized waiting face ever. It's like what's the most distraught I can look right now, and that's the fucking face you go with. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday. Yeah, like that doesn't fucking work. Hey everybody, it's Tuesday, October 20th, 2020. That's a lot of 20s, and this is the Fourth and Wrong podcast. I'm your host, RJ, and joining me as always is Keith. Say hi, Keith.
Hi, Keith.
You sound about as enthusiastic as you look.
Nah, man, I'm all enthusiasm.
Uh-huh.
Arizona Hot Shots are 5-3.
Perpetually
5-3. Folded sports teams can't disappoint me, so...
I mean, listen, they're over 500, so you can't complain.
Represent.
Jesus Christ. It seems so long ago, and yet...
It kind of was, though.
What was it, a year and a half at this point?
Yeah, the AAF was like a year and a half ago. The Alliance of American Football League.
I mean, it was in the before times.
In the long ago.
They didn't have fans in their stands for other reasons.
Yeah. It's funny, you know, Arizona being one of the better teams in that league, one of the worst fan attendances in that league.
Yeah. Well, you never can tell.
Yeah.
It's because Arizona's full of the olds.
Then what's Miami's excuse, or any other Florida team?
Well, Arizona and Miami are very different.
Right, but you said full of the olds being the...
Yeah, but Arizona's full of like they're full of like the olds that like are trying to survive tuberculosis, so they're not fun olds. And also Miami's like not got that many, or has more people. Arizona's not got as many people, geographically speaking.
I wouldn't consider Florida's olds any more fun than Arizona's olds.
Sure they are. They're full of money eventually. They're like piñatas.
Yeah, somebody that's been to both of those states.
You just wait for the old to kill them, and then the money falls out.
Okay.
Yeah. This is where this podcast is going this week.
Oh, man.
It's a good thing I don't work for Life Alert.
Oh, shit.
I've fallen. Good. You're halfway there.
Keep going. I wish I could say that at work sometimes. Cut that out. EMS 23, respond to a fall, 17 Alpha 1, suffix G. Be like, good, keep them there.
Oh, and this I've got to cut out?
Gravity struck again. And it's like, so you know like those shitty jokes you make, like water cooler jokes? When you're at work, like somebody's got a case of the Mondays and shit like that.
Sure.
Like, fucking EMS has their own brand of like shitty work jokes. So like if we're having if we're at work and there's an exceptionally large amount of fall calls for the day, like even public assists or old lady fell out of the bathtub, stuff like that. Mm-hmm. Somebody at work is going to say, well, it looks like somebody turned the gravity up, or gravity's winning today. And it's like, I will literally set everyone in this building on fire. Like, if I have to go pick up, not just because I got to go pick up an old lady again, but because you keep saying stupid shit like that. Nobody turned the gravity up. They're old. Old people fall. It's not funny.
I mean, except for when it is.
It's not. Especially at 3 in the morning. Why are you even up at 3 in the morning? You're
I mean,
80.
sure, but objectively, people falling down. Look at this. Look at this. Objectively, people falling is funny.
People falling, if they can get themselves back up, is funny. When I have to go pick them up, it's not funny.
At least you're getting paid for it.
You know what? I get paid regardless, baby. It don't bother me. I get paid by... I'm a salary employee, so...
Chumbawamba got themselves back up on their own.
Yeah. Maybe they just need some Chumbawamba energy in their lives. Okay. They ain't never going to keep me down, because I'm going to call 911, and Keith's going to come pick me up!
Yeah. Those old people that fall in the bathroom are a different variety of tub thumpers.
A little bit.
So anyways, football.
Especially when they, like, fall between the tub and the toilet, and that's where they decide to die.
Oh, Jesus.
Gotta go pick them up, too.
Great. Great.
They fell permanently, RJ.
I'm keeping all of this in.
So, Bills doubleheader today.
Yeah, I mean, I still figured we'd start with Cleveland first, and I didn't know how long this episode was going to go. But
oh, good. Let's start with Cleveland again.
we got a pattern. Let's stick to it. Oh, yeah, because I'm stoked about my games.
Yeah. Cleveland sucks again.
Yeah.
But not in a way that is like... So, okay.
Hey, look at it this way. They're not a 6-point team.
They scored 7. So, Cleveland still winning record, but I don't know how to feel about it anymore. Because I can't get excited for us just beating average to below average teams in the NFL. We got to actually beat good football teams. And, like, I can watch the Browns lose. I've watched the Browns lose for decades at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But I don't like watching the Browns lose to the Steelers.
Well, yeah. Nobody likes losing to a division rival.
And I don't like watching the Browns lose to the Steelers by 31 points.
Also, yeah, not a good time.
Especially because both of our losses are both division front runners by more than 3 scores. The whole game was bad. It made me feel ill, like physically ill. So I stopped watching it. I watched other football.
Uh-huh.
I'm gonna be honest.
Well, I'll also be honest then. I had your game on, and then I did the thing where I lay down for a minute, which is apparently the death sentence these days.
I mean, naps are important, dude.
Yeah, and I rolled over and I looked at the screen, and it was 17-0, and I went, I can go back to sleep.
Mm-hmm. No, it was pretty much the general consensus. I have some feelings about some of the stuff that I did see. Baker Mayfield's still wildly inconsistent.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a sort of justification in my head. He was 10 for 18 with a touchdown and 2 picks, which tends to be, like, if he's going to throw interceptions, those tend to be kind of the stat lines that he's going to put up.
Mm-hmm.
The rushing game, we couldn't really lean on the rushing game the way we want to because we got so behind so fast, which I think is an argument to lean on the rushing game because it also chews up clock and keeps the other team's offense on the field, or off the field. But I'm also not a coach, so nobody listens to me. Especially like when both your running backs that you were giving most of your carries to were running. I mean, kind of efficiently, at least enough to keep handing the ball off. Lost an ugly fumble, turned the ball over too many times. The whole game was just ugly. It was just hard to watch. Like I've said since the beginning of the season, the Steelers are good. They are a good football team. But it was kind of the same old, whenever Cleveland's going to lose, they're going to lose in Cleveland-like fashion, and they're going to give the other team every opportunity on the planet to put up big points and make us look like a bad football team. Now, I have some of my own thoughts as to why Cleveland is the way they are. Since the beginning of the season, I've been saying our secondary and middle of defense is suspect. The best thing we have going for us is the defensive line when it comes to defense, and some sporadic but sometimes impressive secondary play. Denzel Ward's still out there doing his thing. They weren't able to throw the ball all over us, but they were able to throw the ball efficiently enough to keep the division of offense pretty much a nice 50-50. They were able to hand the ball off and throw the ball, and we weren't really able to super stop either or. So it was just Pittsburgh was very steady with their approach because of just how much more efficiently they were playing. And I've been saying since the beginning of the season that our defense has some holes that are going to greatly affect the team against good offenses, and we've played two what I would consider really good offenses, and both times we got our shit pushed in. And the Browns are not a team that can win from behind right now. The other observation that I have is Baker Mayfield, obviously. I don't think the Baker Mayfield experiment is over. And the reason why I say that is because this man has had 4 head coaches in the past 3 seasons. It's not a Josh Allen thing where they've been in the league for the same amount of time. Baker Mayfield hasn't been able to develop the way Josh Allen has. Josh Allen has had consistency in the front office. He has had consistency with the coaching staff. The Browns are synonymous with coaching turmoil. That's just kind of what they do. So, although I'm not ready to give up on Baker Mayfield because I think he's extremely talented. He just needs to be utilized and developed correctly, and this is the first opportunity I feel like he's going to be able to be developed because we're winning football games, and as long as we're winning football games, Jimmy Haslam isn't going to fire anybody. Like I said at the beginning of the season, this is the prove-it year for Baker. He has to be able to do something by the end of the season to justify his return next year, because we can easily go shop for another quarterback.
So it's the big third year for these guys where you're seeing, just to get on a quick tangent, but, you're seeing people talking about, like, the Jets moving off of Darnold potentially this year and, switching up for potentially even Trevor Lawrence. But, Baker's got to figure out where he stands because, Lamar's already a league MVP. Josh Rosen is, like, effectively out of the league. I mean, he's sitting, I think, 3rd string in Tampa Bay still.
Yeah, he's going to be a backup / training camp guy for the rest of his career, which we kind of called when he got drafted. But
yeah, Sam's seeing ghosts, Josh is developing, and Baker's kind of of the group. Baker, like, people have been calling Josh an anomaly because of his development and the fact that he actually fixed his accuracy, to a degree, though we'll talk about that. Yeah. But Baker, is more the anomaly as the number 1 overall pick who kind of still hasn't decided how he's going to play, or had the ability to show really what he can do. Sure.
Yeah. I tend to agree with that. The problem with Baker is it's inconsistencies. Like, he shows flashes of brilliance, and then it all just kind of goes.
I mean, Baker's rookie year was the one that people were saying was the new Brett Favre because he was out there slanging it. So.
And he's still gone out there and made impressive passes and stuff. And it's not like his stats so far this year are awful. His total yardage is low, but that's to be expected because of the team that we're playing. Like, the identity of the team, we want to run the ball, heavy sets, run the ball. But he has a positive touchdown to interception ratio, barely. Has thrown. He's about middle of the pack when it comes to touchdowns and QBR. He's about middle of the pack when it comes to passer rating. But he is. I always, if it was any other quarterback, when I said, like, middle of the pack kind of guy, like, let's talk like Alex Smith. Okay, Alex Smith is arguably one of the most bland quarterbacks in the league. He's kind of just generally good at a lot of things, which makes him a good system quarterback, which is why he benefited from Andy Reid so much. Andy Reid made Alex Smith look like a fucking superstar. Alex Smith is the kind of quarterback that will not lose you a football game with his inconsistencies. He will not lose you a football team with his middle of the road play. Baker Mayfield is, because when he is a middle of the road quarterback, it's with turnovers and protecting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather him only pass for 120 yards a game, which he's kind of averaging this year.
Right.
120 yards a game and 1 touchdown and never turn the ball over, than 250 yards a game, 2 touchdowns, and 2 picks.
You know who that kind of makes him?
What?
Quarterback you had not that long ago. Kind of makes him Tyrod. Or Terod.
Mm-hmm. I would take a Tyrod in a well-structured. I would take Tyrod Taylor in Kevin Stefanski's system, because Kevin Stefanski is building a system where you don't have to rely on a quarterback's arm. Now Tyrod has a good arm, but he's not a passer's quarterback. He's not a stand in the pocket and drop 400 yards on somebody.
No,
he's a ball protector.
Yeah. He's a game manager with a pair of legs.
Yeah, he's a game manager that has some mobility. I would like to see a little more of that out of Baker as he develops. And unfortunately, this is the second time this season where he's been had to put in a position where he felt like he had to win the game with his arm.
Who was your backup last year?
Our backup quarterback?
Yeah.
Garrett Gilbert.
Okay, so nobody of note. He didn't really have a mentor backing him up last year.
No.
Because he had Tyrod to start with, and he had him, and now he's got Case Keenum, who's arguably vying for his starting spot.
Yeah, and that's really the thing that we start having a conversation about is...
Case Keenum's on your bench. Case Keenum was having success not that long ago.
Yeah, Case Keenum is not a terrible quarterback, and Case Keenum strikes me as a solid game manager system kind of guy. That could legitimately make pushes. For Baker's starting job if things don't improve. I'm going to give Baker Mayfield a little bit of an out. He was playing hurt, and that showed towards the end of the game when he got pulled because he kept getting hit.
Mm-hmm.
He had a rib injury that obviously lingered throughout the week of practice because he missed days. And was obviously affecting him during the game. Anytime anybody touched him, he was wincing. It was rib injuries. Have you ever had a rib injury?
No. But...
They are awful. So I give him this much brevity.
Add it to the fourth and wrong store. Carson Wentz.
If it was affecting him that bad, to where it affected his play that seriously, though, maybe he shouldn't have played. But so it's I'm gonna give him a little bit of a benefit of the doubt. But besides that, there's a lot of development issues and turmoil. Now I'm not on board with a lot of the takes right now. It's 2 losses into an early season with a new head coach and new coaching staff. So I'm not, contrary to how it may appear. I'm not off the boat yet. I'm just.
I'm not abandoning you. I'm just seeing my other family.
Yeah, I'm just going to hang out with the in-laws for a little bit. Don't read too much into it. It's not that I don't like you. It's just
you're pissing me off right now.
You make me really upset when I see your face. So.
I'm not saying I'm going to punch you. I'm just saying you're very punchable right now.
Yeah, I'm not gonna do it. I'm just thinking about it really hard. Okay.
If you tripped and landed on my balled up hand, I would not be upset.
I wouldn't be upset about that at all. Because we all know how much I love sports media, and
being a part of it.
Yeah, especially people like Stephen A. and cats like that. I saw this take.
I've seen your portrait of Colin Cowherd.
Yeah. Oh, don't get me started on Colin Cowherd. Stephen A. was on First Take, talking like, Odell and Landry should be like begging for a trade to get out of Cleveland and stuff like that. And it's like, look, man. Odell played with check down Manning. He's used to not being featured that much. Okay, he was a get out of jail free card for that offense. So I'm not saying that's going to affect his energy because he was obviously unhappy with New York, but Jarvis Landry is a special kind of breed of receiver where
asshole.
Yeah, where he is kind of, if he's benefiting the team, he's just kind of cool with being out there. Like he'd never asked for much when he played for Miami, and he's not asking.
Definitely not
for
wins.
For Cleveland. Yeah, certainly not asking for wins playing with Miami. I don't think it's time. I think there's too much overarching context that people are ignoring with the Browns right now. Like, he had 4 head coaches in 3 seasons.
I think it's the Browns are suffering the thing that the Bills are about to start suffering again, which is we've been historically mediocre or bad, and now that we are, regressing to the mean in some cases. Yep. All of the like you were saying, most of the large network media is going to take the chance to kick the body on the way down the stairs.
Yeah, just jump all over it. It's like, I'm not here to celebrate mediocrity. Like our 4 wins were against arguably average or mediocre football teams, and I'm not here to argue that we should be proud of being 4-2 because of that. What I am here to argue is, we are 2 wins from matching last year's win total, and we're only on week 7.
Yeah.
Okay, that is something to be excited about because that shows progress. Now, instead of the team overall being just garbage and having a few bright spots, now we have solid foundations and we can hone in on the actual flaws on the football team. It just so happens that one of those flaws happened to be our number 1 pick from a few years ago.
Yeah.
And kind of one of the most important, if not the most important position in the game. So it's...
We all know it's the get-back coach that's actually the most important, but...
the get-back coach is the unsung hero.
Unsung hero.
He's the real reason why the Rams lost the Super Bowl.
There's a lot of avoided penalties.
He didn't get back Sean McVay enough. But like, as far as the game is concerned, I don't really have a lot to say about it because I didn't watch a whole lot of it at halftime. After halftime, we scored once.
You sure did.
It was a passing touchdown. That was cool.
Yeah.
That was like the only highlight was Ben Roethlisberger got sacked twice, so Myles Garrett gets to extend his sack streak. And Baker Mayfield scored a touchdown at one point.
What was Myles Garrett's final helmet count? Was it still just 1?
Just 1.
Okay.
Yep. And Mason Rudolph played some snaps.
Also, I'll say this: of all the weeks to give up on that dumb visual gag, you picked this week.
I had other gags to attend to.
Apparently.
Well, this would be like the one time where I don't, because I don't want to stir that pot, man. Like that was actually like a big thing, like the media was trying to do. It was like asking Tomlinson about like how he feels. Like Mike, they were interviewing Mike before the game, and they're just like, "Hey, coach, how do you feel about like Myles Garrett and the whole helmet controversy?" And he was like, "Does that have anything to do with this football game today?"
Yeah.
And then they went out there and showed us what he thought about it by monkey stomping us into oblivion.
Yeah.
So there's always that. Rashad Higgins got himself another touchdown. I'm glad to see him back in the rotation. It was a nice passing touchdown. So there's at least that.
Yep. All right, we can get into the Bills stuff if you want to. More sadness, and I get a double dose because we didn't get to talk about this last week.
Sure didn't.
So I'll kind of mush my analysis of these two into a single take.
They are kind of the same.
Because we lost both of these games, and
very similar reasons.
Kind of went the same way. Derrick Henry only put up 57 yards on us, but Ryan Tannehill put up 42 rushing. So that's kind of how Tennessee went. And I started off the game talking to you yesterday saying, I don't know if I'm that worried about Clyde Edwards-Helaire. And then I immediately followed up with, that was a mistake to say.
Yeah.
And that was before he put up 161 on us. Mm-hmm. So, yeah, our defense is suspect. Our passing game, it desperately needs Matt Milano in coverage. I don't know what our defensive line needs to do to plug the A gap. I don't know if losing Phillips and Lawson to free agency this last year was the thing. I don't know if it's Star Lotulelei opting out that's the thing. Mm-hmm. But our defense is super duper suspect right now. I still feel like the secondary is holding up relatively well. Okay, they didn't have to pass on us, but Mahomes only put up 225. Mm-hmm. That's not crazy. Ryan Tannehill is a game manager. He went for 195. But they were both over 75% passing.
Yeah, it was just because they didn't need to rely on the game, they were able to pick their shots very efficiently. And so it showed in the totals to especially who they were passing to. To me, my observations of the games is pretty much reflects directly what you said. Can't plug the A gap to save your fucking lives. Can't stop the running game to save your lives. And there's always one or two receivers that just play in the soft spot of the zone.
And we're such a zone heavy team that it's just find the gap.
Yeah, and it just so happens that Kansas City's find the gap guy is Travis Kelce, arguably the best tight end in the league.
And we didn't have Milano in coverage.
And you didn't have Milano in coverage. And then Tennessee's guy was, A.J. Brown, who's arguably one of the harder receivers to cover in the league, even for a star lockdown corner.
He's a big, strong dude. And we were missing Tre'Davious White and Levi Wallace for that game.
Exactly. And that's what I was, when it comes to, the Titans game, they were able to amplify that weakness, playing the style of zone defense that the Bills play, is they do have a big, strong dude that can run really tight routes and no star corner on the field. Josh Norman had to kind of step into a role that he really hasn't played in 3 or 4 years as far as the guy in the secondary, and it really showed. Josh Norman was getting abused during that Titans game. Yeah.
Just gonna once again, this man, those are his feet. Mm-hmm. That's his head. They're almost at the same level. Mm-hmm. This man has house payments. Yeah. He's got a mortgage. This is a disrespectful individual. His name is Derrick Henry.
He's very disrespectful. And what's funny is that play was called back.
Yeah.
So Derrick Henry abused Josh Norman for no reason.
Yeah. A play that technically does not exist in history, but boy, they gonna talk about it.
Because that's just the kind of shit Derrick Henry does. Even when he doesn't have a good game, statistically a good game, he gonna do something. He gonna embarrass somebody. Yeah.
Well, he made up for it this last week, but we're not here to really talk about the Titans. Other than to say, they're 5-0, and apparently getting COVID makes you better at football.
I've been saying the Titans were a good football team since last season. Nobody believed me.
Yeah, I was not that intimidated. I counted the game against the Titans as a win going into the season. I thought we had a chance. That was proven very wrong.
I think the Bills have a chance with every team they play.
I want to cut that short by saying the loss to Kansas City showed me something, and that something was the Bills are not legitimate contenders. We'll probably still win the division, but with unless our defense figures out what the hell they're doing, this is not the defense of the last 2 or 3 years that was a top 5, top 3 defense. If we were, we'd have probably beaten the Chiefs. If we were, it would have been a lot closer with the Titans. But something's busted right now.
Well, and there's something I noticed with these two games too is because I wouldn't consider the Chiefs having an all-star defense. They definitely have stars in the secondary, and they definitely.
And on the defensive line.
Yeah, and stars on the defensive line. But Josh Allen, with the Chiefs game, pass protection held up relatively well. He was never sacked, and if he was close, he was maneuverable enough to kind of squeak out.
Yeah, he was still able to move most of the time.
Yeah, so they gave him at least enough room to maneuver and make plays. But when it comes to just purely passing, like we're definitely observing some regression from Josh Allen, and I don't know if that's related to his recent injuries, or if we're getting to the point, like you said, where the Bills aren't a contender, and when they are playing teams that are a contender, we're kind of dealing with a very similar situation that the Browns are, where really good teams make our teams look like bad teams.
Yeah, well,
because we're not as good as everybody thought we were at the beginning of the year.
Just to speak to Josh Allen's passing against the Titans, he went 26 for 41, not a great total that way, but he still put up 263. He threw 2 touchdowns, but he threw 2 picks. So not great. Against Kansas, and he didn't have John Brown in that game. Against Kansas City, we saw the conditions were less than ideal. He still threw for 2 touchdowns. He was 14 for 21, so he was at 66%, but he didn't throw dick for yards. And again, less than ideal conditions that seemed to force us into the rush game early and often.
He was 14 for 27. He threw for 50% in that game.
Oh, yeah. My math's bad. I guess I was thinking 18 for 27.
Yeah.
Or 14 for 21. Which was not what he threw. And the other thing that really had me concerned that I said to you while we were watching the Chiefs game, I'm concerned that, like, as soon as things don't go well in the passing game, we get away from it, because what did they start pulling out again? But designed fucking quarterback runs on sweeps with Josh. And granted, they were getting like first downs.
They were working, but man,
like,
they scare me.
They were kind of working, but it's like, dude, you're injured already.
Yeah. And
if you could just like run block a little bit, like Zach Moss is not living up to the hype. Like Zach Moss is kind of proving that to be a bruiser running back, to be the kind of mentality that he is, he needs to be probably about 6 inches and about 40 pounds heavier.
He needs to be like that guy behind your head.
Yeah.
to be a true bruiser running back.
I kind of I wanted
me up when you said Zach Moss's mentality is very similar to Marshawn's, and it's like, Marshawn's like 6 foot, even 200 and something pounds.
Yeah, that's what Zach Moss says that's what Zach Moss says he patents his game after, and I don't see it. I forget, it was AJ, I forget his last name, out of Boston College this last year. He plays for Green Bay now. Who was like 6'5", 240, ran a 4.53 or whatever, basically put up Derrick Henry stats for as far as the combine's concerned. And he was a guy that I wanted in the draft. And we ended up, with Zach Moss, who at the time on tape and stuff looked real good. And is Utah's all-time leading rusher and was like huge in the yards after contact stat. But he's not showing it at the next level. Like Devin Singletary was, an insanely lucky pick, but was more of a make you miss guy, not break a tackle guy. Or at least not break a tackle in and I'm going to try and run through you, which, then works for 5'7", 210 or 205.
Right. And that's, and Devin Singletary and Zach Moss are built very similarly. Devin Singletary is 5'7", Zach Moss is 5'8". They're both around just over 200 pounds.
Yeah, 205, 210, something like that.
And the reason why that kind of running worked in Utah, Mr. Moss, is because you were playing in college.
Yeah, you're playing college players.
Yeah. Power backs in the NFL are big.
Mm-hmm.
Speed backs in the NFL are not. And that's just kind of how it's always going to be.
Yep.
Because you have because you have defensive ends, like you have defensive linemen in general, not just ends, like Aaron Donald and Myles Garrett and Khalil Mack, who's technically a linebacker, but he's a pass rusher, who are double your size and can run a 4.6 and literally run you down.
Now, Zach Moss got a, I believe you described it as a valley, like Clyde Edwards-Helaire was getting on some of those run blocks against us.
Yep.
Then I could see him getting to the second or third level and, trucking a safety or something.
I'm sure he can lay a hit on a 195-pound corner and it'd look impressive.
Yeah, but
you're not going to do that against a 260-pound linebacker. You're not going to do that against a 300-pound defensive tackle.
Unless that linebacker, plays for the Bills, because we still can't fucking tackle anyone, apparently.
Mm-hmm. And you wouldn't even have to truck Sendejo, because he's just a bum. He'll literally just get out of your way.
Yeah. So I don't have a huge amount else to say. Like, Stephon Diggs continues to look impressive. Like, even with his limited production against Kansas City, he had that toe drag in the end zone for one of our touchdowns. That was just like I literally said to you right as he did that, I was like, that's what we gave up a number 1 pick for.
Mm-hmm.
That's was that play?
Which was funny because that same drive he had several. He had it was that same drive where he had a drop and then an overthrow where you were just like, I expect him to catch those. And then
that was the very first drive of the game where it bounced off John Brown's fucking face mask.
Yeah, that was funny.
And they had an overthrow before that.
Yeah, there was actually several passes in that game where it's like I expect Cole Beasley had some pretty uncharacteristic drops in that game. But like you said at the beginning of this whole section, the weather there was awful. Like it wasn't awful, but it was bad enough. They had to lay gravel on the turf.
Yeah, it was lake effect shitty. Like
it was lake effect bullshit. Just constant showering rain.
Yeah, but just enough.
Yeah, just enough to keep things interesting.
So, I mean, going forward, I expect us to bounce back. Who do we play next?
Jets.
Yeah. So we get the Jets and then the Patriots. So the next 2 weeks are probably pretty easy. We still got to beat the Patriots to prove that we can beat the Patriots. But, we could just as easily be 6-2 in 2 weeks and then, play the Seahawks.
Mm-hmm.
So, I expected Kansas City. I counted that as a loss going into the season. I expect us to lose against the Seahawks probably. Mm-hmm. But then we get the Cardinals before going to the bye week. So I could see us at 7-3 before the bye still pretty easily. I'm not totally out on... Well, I'm not out on a lot of things. I still, like I said, I think we're going to win the division. Mm-hmm. I still think we have the easiest path to that, seeing how other teams are playing. Like, New England's at their worst start since 2001 at 2-3. Miami, hilariously, is in second place in the division at 3-3. And they're now, I believe they're going into a bye week and then switching over to Tua. Yep. It's been announced after this last game that he will be the starter going forward. Mm-hmm. But as far as being a proper, as far as the confidence I was feeling through the first 4 weeks, I'm not there anymore. This, again, the defense is going to have to fix itself. I think in both of these games, the offense didn't perform up to what we were doing. Mm-hmm. But they sure as shit weren't getting a lot of help.
Yeah. No, I'd agree with that. It's difficult to stick. It's difficult to stick to the plan when your defense isn't really holding up their end of the bargain and playing complementary football. That Titans game, it was early in the, I think it was just getting up to halftime, and you had texted me or we were talking on Discord or one of the two, and you were just like, yeah, I feel like this game is over. And because it just got...
I did the same thing in the Kansas City game, and I was technically right both times.
Right. The Kansas City game was much closer, though. I
think it was the third quarter going into the fourth quarter when we, like gave them the ball back on a 3 and out, and they just had like enough clock, and I was like, we're down by 2 scores, this is done.
Yeah, and if you're not playing complementary football, it's really hard to win against good teams.
Yeah. But hey, you strip that ball a little bit faster on a couple of those plays, and we got a shot.
Yeah, that almost fumble almost made that Chiefs game really interesting for a second there.
Yeah. Oh, it definitely made it interesting for a second there. It just didn't stay interesting.
Yeah, it just didn't stay interesting. Because upon further review...
That's kind of what I got on the Bills. Let's rip through the rest of whatever we want to talk about.
Rip through the weeg.
Through the weeg. Tennessee, remains undefeated. I guess we'll just touch on that real quick. Deshaun Watson had the most disgusted look I've ever seen a quarterback have after losing a coin flip to go into overtime. His body language said, "This motherfucker right here," and then this motherfucker right here proceeded to drive into the end zone and win the game without Deshaun Watson touching the ball again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and man, what a time to be alive. Where because we always thought Deshaun Watson, after his rookie year, we always knew Deshaun Watson was going to be good as long as he had, the right system around him, or just in general, he's a very talented person, very athletic person. Who would have thought we'd see a combined 8 touchdowns between a game with Deshaun Watson and Ryan Tannehill?
Wow, Ryan Tannehill's proving Adam Gase can ruin anyone. So
Ryan Tannehill single-handedly is making me feel vindicated as a sports analyst.
Why is that?
Because I've been saying that shit since last year.
Well, yeah. But, he's that's kind of since he's been proving it. If you'd have called it 3 years ago where you were like, man, if he just ends up with a different team, he'll be great, that would be some shit.
Hey, you want to go back to my conversations with Dustin when he was still in Miami? We can, because I was saying it then, too. When they made it to the last time Miami made it to the playoffs was a Tannehill team.
Screenshots or it didn't happen.
Yeah, you know what? Those conversations are lost in the void. But what I am saying is, while I was sitting here saying, the Titans are good, people aren't respecting the Titans. They were 1 game away from the Super Bowl last year. People like you were like, I don't think so. I don't know about them Titans. I was like, just watch.
Granted, it was Mariota, but we did beat the Titans last year. So, that's also why I was kind of in that boat and still a little like, they got to really prove it. And clearly they're proving it at this point. So, it is undeniable. I think they're, one of 2 undefeated teams left, and the 2 undefeated teams are the 2 teams that couldn't fucking play each other because of COVID.
RJ, you're a Bills fan. I would not use people beating your team as a metric of whether or not they're good.
But they've beaten everything else, too. Also, again, we played real well for 4 games.
Right. But I'm saying, we beat them, so they couldn't have been that good. It's like, were we watching the same Bills team last year?
They went to the playoffs.
Because we beat you.
Yeah.
That's not a metric of whether or not a team is good.
You beat us and you beat a 14-2 team, so you got to be good for some. You got to be good for something.
We're good at giving good teams an L occasionally.
Hey, baby steps.
Yeah, baby steps. You got to start somewhere. That game was really fun to watch because I like watching shootouts. And Deshaun Watson and Ryan Tannehill provided, and Derrick Henry just ran all over the fucking place. Averaged almost 10 yards a carry, and I completely understand why Deshaun Watson was upset when he lost that coin toss, because he knew damn well they were just going to keep giving the ball to Derrick Henry, and he was never going to touch that football ever again.
Yep. So that's that game. The Denver Broncos beat the New England Patriots. Like we said, sending the Patriots to their worst start since 2001. I'll say it as many times as I want. You can't stop me. The Patriots are 3rd in the division, number 3, and the Denver Broncos did it without scoring a touchdown.
They did it without scoring a touchdown and with their quarterback throwing under 50%.
Yeah.
It was
big cock lock.
It was gross football.
Horse cock lock.
It was not good football.
These are bad teams.
Hey, Julian Edelman went in there and he dropped a couple dimes.
He did.
He used to play quarterback.
To repurpose my take on the Browns, why's your best quarterback playing wide receiver?
I mean, I wouldn't say that about Cam Newton, but I'm saying it about Cam Newton. In
Cam
this
Newton
context.
Listen, Cam Newton threw 2 more interceptions than Julian Edelman did.
Mm-hmm.
Just saying.
That is a fact.
The Jets versus the Dolphins. The Jets still suck.
Oh, no. There's so
that's a bad football team.
That's a really bad football game. Or football team. I
didn't even know they were starting Joe Flacco. Oh, that's right. Isn't
Sam Darnold's injured? Yeah.
Sam Darnold's injured. He was out 3 to 5, right?
Yeah. So not only are they starting Joe Flacco, it amazes me that especially today is Tuesday, like Tuesday actual. This game
actual.
This game was 2 days ago, and there were still 2 head coaches fired before Adam Gase.
He's still got a job.
I'm not saying the Jets have a ridiculous amount of talent and other coaching staff would be able to do something with the players on this team. But it is so obvious at this point with the way that the team has been coached, with the way that it's been managed as far as personnel is concerned, that the Jets just don't seem to have any interest in winning football games outside of making it look like they're out there playing.
Le'Veon Bell, Robbie Anderson, Jamal Adams used to all be on this team not that long ago.
Mm-hmm.
You can't say there wasn't talent on both sides, at least a little bit.
Mm-hmm. And it's like, that's why I say, like, it's just painfully obvious. Like, you're using, now granted, Frank Gore is ageless. Frank Gore.
No,
timeless.
he's not ageless. He's old as shit.
Frank Gore is a timeless treasure. Okay.
Yeah, putting up 1.9 yards per attempt.
4. Thank you.
1.4?
No, 4.2.
Oh, well.
If Frank Gore is your featured back,
yeah.
Holy
that ain't it.
Holy shit, dude. Like, fuck me.
Yeah.
Especially when...
Wait, is this 15 years ago? Because then you're probably pretty good.
Yeah. No, it's 2020.
Damn.
Featured back 11 carries to his younger contemporaries 3, when his younger contemporary averaged 10 more yards a carry than Frank Gore. I like Frank Gore, don't get me wrong. I like Frank Gore. I think Frank Gore is going to be one of those dudes where it's inevitable that he gets some kind of Canton nod eventually. Might not be a first ballot, but
he's the 3rd all-time leading rusher. Yeah, he's going to get in there eventually.
Exactly. But you got rid of Le'Veon Bell. Not because he was not being productive. You got rid of him because the GM signed him and the coach didn't like him, so he never played him. Like, these are the reports out of the Jets' office was Adam Gase kind of didn't like Le'Veon Bell, so he didn't play him. The league's best running back for like 3 seasons in a row, the Jets felt like they were in the position where they could confidently bench this guy. The fucking Jets. And instead feature Frank fucking Gore. Adam Gase should not have a goddamn job.
Nope.
And getting fucking beat around 24-0 by the Miami fucking Dolphins is even more egregious.
Sorry, go on. Or
that's pretty much it.
Okay. I was going to say, with Trevor Lawrence waiting in the wings and the Jets where they are currently, do you think the Jets can afford to get rid of Adam Gase? Let me flip this one around real quick.
If the front office's total goal is to ensure that they lose every football game by having the worst coaching staff on the planet so they can get Trevor Lawrence, yes, you keep Adam Gase because he is obviously the worst coach in the league.
Even the Giants won a game.
Yeah, if you are tanking for Trevor, hire Adam Gase. That's how that's how Miami. No, Miami didn't get Tua. Miami got Tua off of a different coaching staff. Yeah, if you just want to ensure your demise so you can get a different quarterback, sure, keep Adam Gase around. If you have any kind of faith in not giving up on your third-year quarterback who's still on a fucking rookie contract, who has shown random abilities to play something in football, you fire Adam Gase. But I don't think they want to do that. I think Sam Darnold's going to be out. They're going to get Trevor Lawrence and some kind of veteran there to groom him, and then Adam Gase is going to get fired next season because
Sam Darnold to Chicago
because they have a real quarterback, and they don't want Adam Gase to get his hands all over him and ruin him.
Yep,
like Ryan Tannehill. Because Ryan Tannehill is the perfect proof of what can happen if you just stop letting Adam Gase touch your players.
How lucky is Ryan Tannehill, just to go back to it for a second, but how lucky is Ryan Tannehill, like, little bit of injury history, comes out, is about to go, into a big contract thing, ends up in Tennessee. Was he on a prove it or was he on the end of his contract? I can't remember.
I think he was straight up. I don't know, actually.
Yeah, regardless.
I know.
Regardless, he turns around and turns it into a 9-figure contract.
Yeah, the Ryan Tannehill is probably my favorite story in professional football right now. Not because I wholeheartedly believe that Adam Gase was the 100% reason why he was so terrible in Miami, because he wasn't even that terrible in Miami. Ryan Tannehill is my favorite story in the NFL currently because he was a guy that everybody saw as just average to below average, had some success in Miami, and was legitimately given a second opportunity and has done nothing but cash checks since then.
Yep.
And that makes my heart feel warm.
Yeah, he started doing it, and then Tennessee paid him, and then he didn't fuck up the bag.
Yeah, now that he's gotten paid, that hasn't changed anything for him. He's still going to go out and play, especially with what the Titans. I don't want to say gave up, but what the Titans had to go through in order to give Ryan Tannehill that opportunity, having Marcus Mariota as a number one guy who was also on an extension, and his play and injury cycle kind of back and forth. Ryan Tannehill gets the opportunity, kind of perceives to be a game manager for a couple of games, but they're winning football games. And suddenly, as soon as he's comfortable with the offense and comfortable with Derrick Henry, they just go bananas. And then because of that success, that arguably short-term success, considering the amount of time, energy, and money they had put into Marcus Mariota just to go ahead and give Ryan Tannehill the bag because somebody else was going to sign him.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, nah, this one's mine. Y'all can have Marcus. We're keeping Tannehill.
Yeah. All right. Green Bay, the Packers suffered their first L at the hands of the Tampa Bay Gronkaneers. And they started off hot, 10-0, and then just Aaron Rodgers gave that third pump, and it was all over from there.
Mm-hmm. This is Aaron Rodgers' only his third pick six in his entire career.
Yeah, I heard that. Heard that on another show that Aaron Rodgers occasionally frequents on Tuesdays.
Yeah, that's a weird stat.
Yeah. And 2 of them were in Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm. Coincidence? Or is the whole thing fixed?
The whole thing's fixed. It's like I was saying at the beginning of the Kansas City game. They gave them that spot, and the game's fixed. The Bills are destined to win. Oh, wait.
Yeah. They fixed that mindset for you. Aaron Rodgers had to play scared this whole game. This is something
team that puts up the most points typically is going to win the game.
These are facts. Thanks, John. Yeah, my observation is Aaron Rodgers had to play scared for most of this game. After starting off hot, the pass rush got hot, and he was hit a bunch, and the Buccaneers were able to turn it on and scored fucking 38 unanswered points across only 2 quarters because nobody did shit in the fourth. Rob Gronkowski kind of had a little return to form. He was out there balling out, catching some passes, getting some touchdowns.
Right about half of Brady's yards.
Yep, it's kind of concerning because Aaron Rodgers doesn't have to play from behind often.
No.
But
technically, he wasn't playing from behind in this game until it was too late.
Until it really got out of hand. So watching him play from behind is like watching a new experience every single time it happens. I think the Packers have some serious issues on defense that they need to sort out. Allowing a team to score 38 unanswered in any team in the NFL is inexcusable, and I'm sure the coaching staff has expressed that.
Well, isn't scoring 38 unanswered kind of on the offense more than the defense? I mean, if you're not answering.
I mean, yeah, complimentary football is complimentary, but there shouldn't be 38 points scored.
Sure.
On a good defense.
Sure.
So, yeah, unanswered points, technically, it's the offense's fault. Technically. All they got to do is kick a field goal, and it's not unanswered anymore.
Right.
But then they scored 38-3.
Yeah.
So
I mean, the fact that you shouldn't let up 38. You shouldn't let up 38 points in the first place. You're not going to win a lot of games that way.
Yeah, especially fucking 4 scores in 1 quarter. Because that's what happened.
Lincoln was there and everything.
Mm-hmm. Is Tom Brady the best game manager in professional sports right now?
Yeah, but we knew that.
Yes, we did.
Tom Brady's been the most prolific game manager for the last 20 years.
Mm-hmm. But he's not a system quarterback. He's just a really good game manager.
It's kind of both.
I mean, he's played for 2 systems, seems to have success in both. So he's a dual system quarterback.
Sure. Well, he certainly seems to be like adapting to the Arians offense, because the whole thing was, basically that offense reads backwards from what he's normally used to, and it's a big, take big chances offense.
Well, and that was kind of the thing. An interesting interview, if you're ever curious of watching it, is when Bruce Arians took over in Arizona, and they had Carson Palmer as their quarterback. Carson Palmer had statistically his worst season ever in the NFL his first year under a Bruce Arians offense. Mm-hmm. And then the next year, almost won a fucking Super Bowl.
Yeah. I believe I think I remember hearing this, like, when Tom was first coming in, Carson was on, like, Rich Eisen or something, talking about, like, yeah, it was messed up.
Bruce Arians legitimately has the most complicated offensive system in the league, period.
Yeah.
And even Tom Brady, who is a really smart dude, but has been doing things very particularly for his entire career, because he's played under one coach. Mm-hmm. There's gonna be some growing pains, and a lot of growing pains. I don't expect Tom Brady to be terrific Tom this season, but Tampa Bay seems to be doing just enough. And like you said, we're starting to see some progression where things are starting to be put together a little bit. And honestly, I think Bruce Arians is just happy to have a quarterback that isn't going to throw 5 picks a game anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe 1 or 2 while he's adjusting to the system, but we're not getting 30 for 30 specials out of Tom Brady. I just don't see that happening. What are you wincing at?
Kyler Murray's passing stats. Have you seen them? They don't scream 38-10 to me. But Dallas also still sucks.
Yeah, I mean, Dallas's defense is one of the worst defenses in the league. So
yeah. Are you looking at Kyler Murray's stats yet?
Yeah, I'm looking at them.
What the fuck? How do you go 9 for 24 for 188 and 2 touchdowns?
Like that?
how are so 20% of your completed passes are touchdowns? That's a great stat.
That's a good dude. That would be amazing if he completed it more than 9 times.
Jesus Christ. Kenyon Drake, another player proving that if you can get out from under Adam Gase.
I was going to say, they do have Kenyon Drake. And when Kyler Murray... So, yards from scrimmage, Kyler Murray has like 250 yards. And 3 touchdowns. Because he ran.
I want Dave Chappelle to do a Kyler Murray bit as if he was Charlie Murphy.
Kyler Murray.
Kyler Murray! The Shortness Brothers.
What?
Never mind.
My God. Yeah, that's obscure. Isn't
DeAndre Hopkins, only 2 receptions on 8 targets? I mean, granted, he put up 73 yards.
Yeah, those two receptions he made count.
Like...
I mean, you can't force feed the man.
I don't know. I wanted to just briefly say Dallas still sucks.
Yeah, no, 100%.
Dallas. And Cincinnati still sucks. Fuck you, Cincinnati. I didn't forget about you.
Yep. We, by your logic, we beat Indianapolis and Cincinnati, and then Cincinnati lost to Indy, so we're double better than Cincinnati.
You're double better than Cincinnati. Yeah. That's just good math.
Yeah, and we play Cincinnati next week, so triple better than Cincinnati.
Triple better. 3 times the team.
Yeah.
You got to win though,
No,
or else it's like Ted Moss.
I swear
like,
to fuck, if we lose to fucking Cincinnati.
If you're double good than a team, but then you lose to them, they're actually double better than you. They skip over all of the steps and take it back.
If we lose to fucking Cincinnati, I don't know what I'll do with myself. It's gonna be extreme.
You'll be above 500.
It will be extreme, whatever it is.
You got any other notes?
I want to talk about the 49ers.
Okay.
49ers for a second, because Jimmy G made a healthy return this week.
Garoppolo.
And I know every week, or almost every week, I've asked you, is the 49ers season over? And
every week.
Every week, it's a different answer. Jimmy G went out there, he balled out, and the 49ers got a win against a good Rams team. Rams are kind of not impressing me over the past few weeks. 49ers season might not be over.
They haven't played the Seahawks yet.
But the Seahawks' secondary is garbage, so...
Yeah, but their offense isn't.
Score faster than them.
They still play the Seahawks twice. They still play the Packers. They still play us.
Are we talking about 49ers?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not saying, like, 49ers are the best team in the NFC. I'm just saying...
I could see them going 500 for this season.
Their season...
Is that bad?
Their season may not be... It is in the NFC.
I mean, well, it depends what part of the NFC. If you're in the NFC East, 500's fucking... You're a god.
Yeah, that's fair. That's no different than playing in a... Insert shitty AFC division currently.
Here, you want a hot take? The NFC East will be won by a team below 500.
I don't think that's a very hot take.
Just saying.
It's certainly a take, technically.
There will be a 10-6 team in the NFC that doesn't make it because a below 500 team from the NFC East has to be let in.
Yep.
Well, except we're expanding the playoffs, so maybe they'll be 9-7, not 10-6, but still.
It's the team. This is my take to get on top of your take. The team that will be forced to be excluded unjustly because they have to let somebody from the NFC East
will be the 49ers.
Is going to be, if not the 49ers, a team from the NFC West.
I could see that because I mean I think the Rams can still get their shit together. And the Cardinals are a wild card. Yeah,
the Cardinals are that team where they're like, they're a good gamblers team.
Yeah,
because if you win, you're gonna win big. It's if they have to let somebody in from the NFC East, it's gonna be at the detriment of somebody from the NFC West, and that's my take for the day.
Yeah, I heard a great question. Somebody called into a show. It was like, is it too late for the Jets to opt out for the season? And I thought it was funny.
That's pretty funny. You excited about Tua?
I mean, I'm not a Dolphins fan, so I don't give a shit.
Yeah, I mean, it's your division, so.
Yeah.
I am excited about Tua.
No.
Because I need Tua to be better than Justin Herbert. So
I mean, I'm not.
So I wasn't wrong.
I'm not excited in Baker and wasn't at the time, and I've got more likelihood to be excited because you're excited about him. So no, yeah. I have no ill will towards Tua other than I hope he plays poorly against us, and I'm not excited about him.
That's fair.
I think it's an interesting change. I think if the Dolphins were really smart, they'd do something with Fitzpatrick before the trade deadline. If they are going to go with Tua. And I also just think Ryan Fitzpatrick is not done, bless you, and he will fuck around and steal somebody's job on another team.
I think Ryan Fitzpatrick should be
Fitzpatrick to Dallas.
The only... Oh, that would be so dirty. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick should be the only journeyman quarterback in the Hall of Fame.
I mean, I legitimately think... because of his character and personality, I legitimately think he's got a shot at the Hall of Fame.
Character, personality, and career stats. Like he doesn't
suck. He's just like this week when he throws 3 touchdowns, he's gonna throw 2 picks.
Yeah, he is the Jekyll and Hyde quarterback that the league needed, and we didn't even know we needed him because he has curated
and we need the whole league because he's been on about half the teams.
He has curated a character around the whole thing. Like it was I mentioned it to you when Tua got some snaps.
Mr. Steal Your Job.
Yeah, he was sitting on the sideline just smiling. This happens to me all the time. I'm just gonna go to another team and steal somebody else's job. Like
it's like he's like the guy at the end of the movie. He's like, well, I guess it's about that time again, and then the wind sweeps by and he's gone.
Yeah, he's the old guy in the duster coat. That's like the moral like guide for the main character.
Fades off into the fog,
and then he's off into he just walks casually into the sunset, and you're not even sure if he's real.
Yeah. Was he ever there?
Was he ever really there?
He was in our hearts the whole time.
Yeah, but in 12 seasons, the dude has almost 35,000 yards passing, 220 touchdowns, and 160 interceptions. Like those aren't numbers to scoff at. Every single time he's gotten a legitimate opportunity to start, he does okay.
There are quarterbacks in this league whose entire careers have been worse than Ryan Tannehill, and they've only been on one team.
Mm-hmm. I mean, shit. Probably his most consistent string of play was when he was with Buffalo.
Yeah.
Of all teams.
Yeah. He was with us for 3 years.
Yeah. He had 3 back-to-back 3,000-plus yards seasons. Touchdown interception ratio wasn't that great, but he was out there slinging that sumbitch.
He had Robert Woods and Stevie Johnson at the time. Yeah. So... And I think he had like young Robert Woods.
Mm-hmm.
All right, anything else? We're working your list at this point for anything that's left.
Where's my list? I lost it. Got distracted by Ryan Fitzpatrick's massive beard and and amazing chest hairs.
But it'll happen.
Mm-hmm.
Can't blame you. I mean, Ryan Fitzpatrick in all of the bullshit like crap years of the Bills was like the best quarterback we had, easily. Like I really liked Trent Edwards before he got his bell rung like 3 times in 3 games.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, Fitzy was always fun. Because he's still got he's also still got that fucking childlike energy.
Yeah.
Where he's like jumping and like gun fingering and
he's out there slinging the rock and just having a good fucking time, and I like seeing that. Like one of the weirdest and most abstract quarterback stories ever, and he's just out there having a blast. Briefly, just to get it out of the way, the Falcons finally won a football game.
Falcons finally won a football. Let's break down every game.
Yeah, they were up by multiple scores at the half, and you thought they were going to Falcons it again, but they didn't. They held strong. The Vikings are looking like they're in trouble since getting rid of Kevin Stefanski. Well, him leaving, but thanks, Vikings. Appreciate you. And as far as other games across the league, I think that's pretty much my list. Let me double check. Yeah, no, that was it.
Okay.
Let me get through the news.
You got some nudes?
Hell yeah, boy. Got a whole folder.
Okay.
I don't know who they are. I got them off the internet.
That'll happen.
Yeah, just go to like r
Google image search.
Yeah, r/nude selfies.
Sounds reliable. All right. Well, if we've got nothing else, this is
Cowboys players are discontent with coaches after a 2-4 start. No shit. That's
Wow.
That's an actual headline on a sports website.
On a website?
On the NFL's website.
About football. Never. All right. Well, this has been the Fourth and Wrong podcast for October 20th, 2020. Next week, I will only have one game to cover, not two, and hopefully it will be a dub. So, we'll see you next week. Say goodbye, Keith.
Bye, Keith.
I don't know how that's going to look at the end.